we have to talk about Oleksandr Usyk. So here we are again. Usyk a couple weeks ago again proved that he is the best heavyweight in the world right now, defeating Tyson Fury a second time, in my opinion, pretty clearly. Okay, look, it was a closer fight than the last, but I still think it was pretty clearly won by Usyk and was in no way, shape, or form a robbery. Usyk again proved that his skill in this division is far superior than any other heavyweight, and again proved that this skill, along with his footwork and smaller and lighter frame, can dominate even the biggest heavyweights all the way to the 12th round. But more importantly, at least to me, is that he continues to make this video age like fine wine. Slowly but surely through this year, a lot of what I said still holds true. These three titans of the heavyweight division just 5 years ago were a farce, a sham, and absolutely a manufactured marketing scheme to make three heavyweights look much better than they actually were. I won't go into details since I already have, but during their peaks, these heavyweights were undefeated, decimated everyone they came across, and many were even arguing their greatness outside of this era, claiming they could beat some of the greatest heavyweights of some eras before. But this was all a lie. A vast majority of these guys' fights, especially in the case of Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, were against competition nowhere near their level or against guys much outside of their prime. Their skill was never truly tested. They continued to fight isolated from one another and build their status to set up potential super fights. But like I said in that video, all it would take was Oleksandr Usyk to move up and fight the best at heavyweight and truly expose this generation of heavyweight boxing and prove that the best heavyweight today is really just a cruiserweight. Let's start with Anthony Joshua. By the time he faced Usyk, Joshua had already taken a loss to Andy Ruiz in one of the biggest upsets in boxing history. But many saw this as a fluke, as Anthony Joshua was able to exact his revenge and picked apart Andy in the rematch to claim his belts back. For a while, it looked like order was restored and Anthony Joshua was going back on track to prove that he was the best heavyweight in the world and was going to gun for the British super fight that was him and Tyson Fury. But those plans were short-lived when the undisputed cruiserweight at the time would move up to heavyweight, fight Chisora, and then fight Anthony Joshua and run circles around Joshua in that first fight, almost finishing him in the last round. A huge skill difference was shown, and despite a sizable weight and height disadvantage, Usyk was able to time, outskill, and outmove a much slower and less skilled Anthony Joshua en route to the WBA, IBF, WBO, and IBO titles. And nothing really changed in the rematch. Sure, Anthony Joshua adjusted and had better moments in this fight, especially with his game plan of going to the body more, as that of course moves less than the elusive head of Oleksandr Usyk, and had a huge 9th round, but he still was no match for the extremely smart and skilled Usyk, who made the adjustment and ended strong. He dominated him so much that Anthony Joshua lost his fucking mind. AJ took the mic, did a couple hips, and went on an insane monologue that really showed that despite how much he tried and as good as he was in this fight, he was never going to get over the hump that is the ultra skilled Oleksandr Usyk. And then we get into a similar situation with Tyson Fury. For many, Tyson Fury was seen as the best heavyweight in the division, the best heavyweight amongst these three stars, and the best and most skilled heavyweight boxer of this generation in general. Especially with how he ended his trilogy with Deontay Wilder, many even saw him as one of the best heavyweight boxers of all time that could rival and even beat some of the greatest of all time. I still remember the debates people had saying that he could be truly the best heavyweight of all time, constantly referencing that he's 6'9", typically 270 pounds at weigh-ins, and that he's one of the most skilled heavyweights of all time. But first of all, he's a couple inches shorter than 6'9", and second, he's far from as skilled as he and his fans make him out to be. For a guy that is billed as one of the most skilled and elusive boxers of our time, he sure has been caught by a lot of guys significantly less skilled than him. I always thought it was a matter of time before he was going to get fraud checked, and luckily Usyk did that twice. Despite being about 4 to 5 inches shorter, giving up 7 inches in reach and about 40 to 50 pounds. He showed that skill disparity was a huge difference maker and negated any physical advantage Fury had over Usyk. In the first, Usyk had a magnificent 9th round, showing precision can rock anyone of any size and damn near finish Fury if the ref hadn't stepped in here and gave Fury a chance to fight on. And sure, this was a close fight and Fury had a really good first half, but it was no match for Usyk's pace, precision, and ability to carry his speed and footwork in the later rounds. And now we get into the second installment of this rivalry, and of course Usyk showed out similarly by landing accurately, moving well, and continuing to get Fury with that sweeping left hook over the top of Fury's guard. Fury can say whatever he wants, like it was a robbery, he won by 3 rounds, or like in the first claim, Usyk won a close decision because his country is at war, but we can all clearly see that Usyk is just a step above Fury in terms of skill and practically everything. I'm so glad that Usyk was able to expose such an overrated generation of heavyweight boxers and British boxing in general. This generation, especially these 2 British heavyweights, were always gassed up to be something bigger than they actually were because they had the blessings of these 2 promotion titans in Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. These 2 British promoters are some of the biggest promoters, not just in Britain, but in the whole world of boxing. And for a very, very long time, they worked to artificially build an undefeated record to create stars and convince the world that these 2 were some of the greatest of all time. When in reality, a closer look into their careers show not much in competition, especially in the case of Fury, whose biggest wins were dominating a one-trick pony in Deontay Wilder and a very out-of-prime Klitschko. Man, Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren almost pulled it off. What would have been their magnum opus and British super fight in making, Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, in their primes, which would have crowned the best heavyweight in boxing, but this undersized Ukrainian would ruin all of it, showing how truly shallow the heavyweight division was in terms of skill. At the peak of these guys' careers, it really looked like they were unstoppable, and of course, that has to go to their heads because it leads to these type of reactions and losses, because to them, they were routinely gassed up by their promoters and their fans as unstoppable, unbeatable, and some of the greatest of all time. Despite the media never giving Usyk the credit he deserved, the biased commentary from British commentators, and the odds constantly counting out Usyk in the first fights between these 2 guys, Usyk continued to prove all of them wrong and show that skill trumps all. So now that we have found truly the best heavyweight in the world right now, we really have to start talking about Usyk being one of the greatest of our generation and where he ranks as one of the greatest boxers of all time. I mean, look at his resume thus far. Undisputed in not just 1 but 2 divisions in the 4-belt era, Daniel Dubois, Anthony Joshua twice, and now Tyson Fury twice at heavyweight. Bro, that's insane. And that's not to mention his crazy amateur record of 335-15 and a fucking gold medal in the Olympics. I really hope Usyk gets the credit he deserves because he is probably the most accomplished boxer of our generation. Of course, he doesn't have the bodybuilder physique of Anthony Joshua that led him to be a media darling for promoters, nor was he the shit-talking wild character of Tyson Fury, which was also an easy sell for promoters. And additionally, with English not being his primary language, it's also going to be really tough for him to be a global icon. But like I've been saying, skill will always trump all. And in the case of Oleksandr Usyk, not only is he undisputed, but now to the boxing world, he's undeniable. So anyways, what do you guys think about Oleksandr Usyk? What do you think about Tyson Fury? Is it really over for him in that generation of heavyweight boxing? And of course, should we be recognizing Usyk as the pound for pound best and one of the greatest of our generation? Anyways, obviously, thank you guys for the support. I'll see you guys in the new year. Peace.